So many good targets. Move to Lucas.
Enter opponent. Still, I'm gonna trigger this. Stuck it, man.
Okay, are we back? We online? All right, looks like we are back and online. I don't have a screen to check on my end, so I'm just going to be watching it through the Twitch stream. So let's see. Let us catch up and see where we're at board state-wise. I'm assuming this is still game one because that Thord in the X-Burst is still there. So looks like both players have pretty developed boards. And hey, there we go. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you for getting that resolved, folks. Sorry for that inconvenience. I'm told the internet went out in the entire shop. Is that Kadaj? Wow. The old terror from my nightmares in Opus 11. Haven't seen him in a hot minute. I think we knew he was there, actually, because we saw him going to Burst. It's just weird to see him on the play. And we have an Opus 14 Cloud on David's side. Interesting. Seen some cards we haven't seen here in a minute. So for those of you who don't know, that Cloud gets 2,000 power if your opponent controls a forward. And then when it attacks, you can choose a forward and force it to have to block Cloud, which is very nice. And then also I think you can discard a category 7 card to give Cloud 1,000 power and he can't be chosen by abilities. So Alba's going to come in, give herself haste. Since she was not played off an ability, she does not get to break a forward. David takes a point of damage into the damage zone, and a second one, it is Shantoto. And will Kadaj disappear? Yes, he will. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Kadaj, so when he enters the field, you get to choose one of the 3 following effects. Choose a forward, dull it. Choose a forward until the end of your turn. It gains 2,000 power and brave. And then it can choose 2 cards in a break zone and remove them from the game. And then at the end of each turn, or at the end of your turn, you can remove Kadaj from the game and you play him back onto the field at the end of your opponent's turn. This card was an absolute menace back in Opus 11 and shortly thereafter. And he has an EX burst to boot. But he has since disappeared in favor of even more bombastic and crazier light and dark cards. Cloud will attack for a point of damage. Hits a Claris EX bonus burst, and Ron will search out a king if he so desires. There's already a Kolka on the field. I'm not sure what other kings he runs in here. Doesn't look like any. Yep. That is a fail to find. So we'll get a nice little look at what's left in our deck and a shuffle. We'll see if David wants to apply any more pressure. Presumably he wants to keep up the Une for the summon recursion from his break zone. And the Diana could be kept up as well, as you can dull Diana to dull a forward on your opponent's side. Although if Kadaj comes in and dulls the Diana, then that's not going to work super well. Oh, wow, we're going to just play Chaos. Steal our opponent's Alba. Attempt to pass, so Kadaj will come back in. As this occurs in the end phase, your opponent cannot respond to the effect. So you can't respond with something like the Une. You will be able to respond with something like the Diana, but David has quite the large board here, so Ron is definitely going to need some way to clear this board out. Does he have any breakable backups? Nope, looks like all his backups are locked in place, so Toto's not going to help us unless we do the old limit break Toto. If David has Arc in hand, then Kadaj is not going to be long for this world. Here comes Cindy. Cindy naturally has haste. Cindy can also dull herself, and you'll deal yourself a point of damage if you're on, is it 4 or less or 3 or less? It's either 4 or less or 3 or less. If you've taken 4 or less or 3 or less damage, she'll deal you a point of damage. Otherwise, she doesn't. Then you can just dull a forward opponent controls. Wonder if Ron's going to somehow try to push for lethal here. I'm not quite sure how he'd do that with the Diana sitting there. Oh, it's Gilgamesh. Nice. So Gilgamesh can pay, I believe it's 2 on entry and on attack. It can pay 2 earth and I think 1 of any color. And then you can choose a forward or monster and break it. I'm assuming we're going to target that chaos. Are we going to respond with the arc? Yep. Yes, we are. Says goodbye, Mr. Kadaj. He says, well, I have no cards in hand, so you can break the Kadaj, but... All right, now we're going to pay with the Gilgamesh. I'm assuming we'll get rid of Chaos. Could also get rid of Une. Chaos, of course, can threaten to break any blockers we have because of it can sacrifice the Alba with its action ability. Nope, opts to get rid of Une. Diana's going to dull herself to try to dull the Cindy. Do we want to respond with the Cindy trigger? Which doesn't really do a whole lot because they're just going to activate on our opponent's turn. So that's probably not going to achieve much. This is looking pretty over for Ron. Unless something very unexpected happens, but... Alright, Cindy's action effect. Choose a forward opponent controls, dull it. If you have received 4 points of damage or less, Cindy deals you a point of damage. Cloud will force Gilgamesh to block. Gilgamesh will die to the Cloud. And you just swing in for 3, right? This is over. Unless Ron hits an EX burst that saves him. There's our first point of damage. It is a Mist Dragon. This is it. All or nothing. Well, it is of Odin, but it cannot kill the Chaos, so it doesn't matter. Oh, and it looks like that was Ron's. Oh, wow. Oh, okay. Okay. 3 of those were Ron's cards. Holy moly. So, yeah, David was just beating his face in with his own forwards. Yikes. That's a lot of Chaos steals. That we took 3 cards from our opponent. Mind Flayer. Chaos. Yeah, why win with your own stuff when you can just let your opponent's cards win the game for you? Need that meme or that gif of the guy like tapping his forehead going, yeah, it's a thinking play. Hey, you don't have to rely on your own cards if your opponent's cards break everything for you. 1 second, folks. Sorry. All right. So last time Ron started us off with a Cindy, and oh my goodness, this is his bread and butter. Hopefully we don't run into a Thoradin this time. We do not. It is in fact, it is a water backup, but it is not one that lets us search out any card in our deck. So Ron is already off to a much better start. Do we have the Reeve as well? If we do, he has played the Reeve Cindy. Oh my goodness, Ron. That is some nice card draw, sir. All 3 games we've seen from him on stream, he's opened the Cindy Reeve. He must really favor this opening because obviously he's got the knocked right there. If he wanted to go turbo aggressive, you could just jam knocked out, but Cindy Reeve is his bread and butter. So we'll see if this one turns out a little differently for him. Unfortunately, we missed most of that last match due to the technical difficulties. And Anthony in Tabletop Tavern, if you're listening, of course, feel free to give us any match updates as you get from the other top 8 competitors. Be happy to read those off live on stream. So David will start with a Thoradin. This time, however, he is going to have to pay 5 for it, which is not nearly as enjoyable as just getting it for free in your damage zone. We're going to let go of Tyro as well. But the nice thing is you now get anything you want from your deck. Presumably another backup. Rydia's a nice one. Yeah. Keep your search chain going. Go ahead and curve out so you can get to that point where you can just take all of Ron's forwards and beat him with his own stuff. And we will end there and pass it back to Ron. Presumably going in with this, are we going to Warp Astinian? Oh, Alba. Wow, this is so interesting. So Ron is really just going for that favored aggression. There is a bonus burst as Kuchulain will shrink the Cindy. Not shrink, turn off her abilities, and a Mist Dragon as well. Got our opponent on 3 damage. That's pretty nice. So this Alba, maybe some people would want to hold it back for its forward breaking trigger, but no, Ron is just happy to play it as a 3-cost give itself haste. All about just smacking our opponent in the face. We are going to search out Ico and Mist Dragon off of our Rydia. Question is, are we going to jam that Ico out right now? I'm assuming not, since he's shuffling his deck. Usually players, if they're planning to do that. Or is he? And he's just thinking, wait a minute, did I just shuffle that for no reason? Yeah, he's like, should I cut? Yeah, David doing a little needless shuffling as we do go ahead and do the Ico into the Arc. And are we just going to cast Limit Break Cloud? Interesting. So we go ahead and get rid of the Alba. I guess we're potentially worried about if the Diana comes down, we can then just kind of start dulling stuff. I guess we could use the Cindy to dull as well. I'm assuming we pitch Man in Black to pay for the Cloud. Kind of impressive. David still has 2 cards in hand after all that. As he put, what, 4 plus 5, 9 plus 2, 11 CP worth of cards on the board, and that's having to pitch 3 turn 1 for the Thoradin. Ron taking a quick look at the break zone. CP goes a lot farther these days than it used to. And all right, Ron, you got another Haster, you got an Astinian. Like, you could deal yourself a point of damage with this Cindy to dull the Cloud to put in 1 more point. Although you're almost kind of like keeping pace at that point, hurting yourself. We're going to go into our own limit break. A Cloud isn't going to deal with this. We're going to pick Matt. Okay, so what you can do, since it gives all the forwards 1,000 power and Brave, you can attack with Cindy and then on the stack, Cindy, dull it, to dull the cloud. You're going to take a point of damage for it. It is an Alba, which just breaks the cloud with our bonus burst. I guess that's why you want to do it, because you know that's going to work. And our second Mist Dragon. All right, so Ron's break zone pretty protected right now. And we are threatening to put our opponent to 6, possibly 7 if we have another haster. Matt just empowering the Cindy there. This mechanic is putting in some work, which you would know if you've played Final Fantasy 15. Visit her at Hammerhead Junction. David has a Loporrit. I think, is that a Gabranth? And I think I saw a big 6-cost Levy in his hand too, yeah. So his hand's not amazing. You could do Loporrit. You could take the chance, just hope Ron doesn't have another haster and that you'll go to 6 and then you have a turn to stabilize. You could just play Leo. It's a body. Granted, Cindy can just dull it out of the way, but we won't have the mat trick again this time. But at least it's a body and it draws you a card. You go in on the Loporrit, see what the Loporrit gets you. David is not sure. You could hold on to the Leviathan too, and that way if he does present a haster, it doesn't feel amazing, but you can then hard cast that Leviathan for 6. Keep yourself from dying. Oh, or you have Chaos. Didn't even see that in his hand. And say, yeah, I'll go ahead and take one of those. Do you give the dull Cindy, which essentially is just going to have to sit there for a turn, or do you give the mat? Yeah, he gives it the mat. Ron is living off of this Cindy. An expensive Chaos, to be sure. And I'm assuming, I don't think we have the Arc follow-up, unless I just didn't see it in his hand. But it starts. David is now going to start collecting Ron's forwards on his board. Yes, good. These forwards shall be mine. I want to take a quick perusal through the break zone, possibly looking for the Arc, which we know one is sitting in there from the Ico from earlier. I wonder how much Ron has actually used the Warriors of Darkness this tournament, because at least the little we've seen of him, I don't think the Warriors themselves have come down much, other than like Alba just coming down to give herself haste. All right. Hey, it's Kadaj. It says, let me go ahead and see your break zone. Remove the Arc. And all right. So there are no more Mist Dragons in this game for David. 2 in the damage zone and now 2 completely RFG'd. So Cindy won't be getting through this turn unless Ron has one more trick up his sleeve. But the Kadaj does put on this pressure that just says, hey, your entry effects don't work on me anymore. Now you can start sending Matt in, and then Chaos can sacrifice the Matt at any time. So that is a way to get rid of the Kadaj on Ron's turn. I think the Matt inherently has Brave, doesn't it? I don't think it has to give itself Brave. Oh, we're just going to the end phase, so Kadaj is kind of coming in. Now, here's the thing, if Kadaj dulls the Chaos, yeah, we can't use that ability, because you can't respond in the end phase. Not Matt. Come on. Matt. Does Matt inherently have Brave? Yes, he does. So Matt could have swung in. Opted not to. I wonder why. Unless he's just afraid of hitting another burst. Which I think is the name of Ron's deck. It's EX Gonna Give It To You. Which was a great song reference. Are we doing a Cloud or another Matt? Matt. The power of Matt. Okay. So Matt's going to give all of our forwards 1,000 in Brave to the end of the turn. Is this lethal? No, we're still one attacker shy. So Cindy's going to go in on the stack. We're going to dull Matt and take a point of damage. Unless David has a response to this. He's asking, does that resolve? Take a point of damage? Yep. No burst this time. It is a man in black. And after he's taking the point, are we going to hard cast Leviathan? Yep. So since Kadaj is a light or dark card, we can just send that packing into the deck. And presumably He's going to bounce the Cindy. I kind of wondered if maybe you bounce the Mat and then it's just gone. And Kadaj goes to the bottom. Yeah, so it cost David his whole hand, but he completely keeps himself from taking a point of damage. If anything, he kind of dealt his opponent a point of damage on his own turn. And you still have the Mat Chaos trigger, if you so wish. We are going to Leo, I'm assuming. We've hit our limit. We're going to go look for Mr. Leo. Like Ashley, the president's daughter from Resident Evil 4, saying Leon, but instead it's Leo. And we're just going to pass. We did draw into an Odin. That's a bit expensive. It's going to cost us a full 5. And not really great here. You could try to break the map, but then Chaos is just going to respond and break it anyway. Still no sign of any of the Warriors of Darkness. Big ol' Noct coming in. Save the day. Like I said, I'm curious to know how much those cards have even showed up throughout this tournament. He doesn't seem to be favoring them at all. So we are going to attempt to attack. David says, I'll block. And then they trade. Okay, yep. So Chaos is offline now. And what does Ron have? Do we have any backups we can develop? Is there another forward we want to use to keep putting pressure on? He's got to be a little nervous because if David ever top decks Arc, this Chaos is putting in a lot of work by just sitting there. But surely the longer this goes, the more it favors David. Yeah, Ron doesn't have a follow-up. Are we going to cast Kusith at the end of the turn? Yes, we are. Who are we getting back? Man in Black? Une? Une's a pretty good one. Going to target Une. Do we have a Mist Dragon response? Probably a good time to fire it off, Ron, if you've got it. No? Lets it resolve? Okay. Which means if Une comes down and knocks out Reeve, Ron will have an empty board. That's not where you want to be in Final Fantasy or in any game, really. I don't know. Maybe there's some magic set out there where, like, by having an empty board, you win the game, but certainly nothing like that in this game. This game's all about having characters in play. Yeah, this is good, looking really south for Ron. He had a good early start with the aggression, but it fizzled out very quickly. And that Chaos just turning your advantage into my advantage is huge. Daj was threatening to take us to the promised land, but that Leviathan put a quick stop to that. You going in on the Une? We might just be going in on the Garnet. Nice. Do we just get back the Arc here? Or does she have to get an Earth or Water summon? I think she just says us summon, right? We go ahead and get back the Levi Tarasu. We're just we're not even attacking with Leo. Interesting. So David is very content to just play the long, patient game here. Says, I don't want to risk running into any EX bursts that are suddenly going to take my board out. I'm just going to wait. Also, potentially avoiding any damage 3 spikes that Ron might have. I'm not sure. I don't see anything in his discard that has any kind of damage 3 spike, but it is one of the most common damage spikes in the game. Is this knocked? Oh, it's Aranea. Aranea. We'll go ahead and break the Garnet on entry. On damage 5, it does get an additional on entry effect where you break a 5 cost or less. Right now, we can break a 3 or less. Lady Garnet is going out of the way, and Cindy's back. Guess who's back? Back again. Cindy's back. Dull your board. Tell a friend. So both of these cards have haste. And Aranea is a huge 9k first strike. And here comes Aranea. I'm assuming, or wait, do we have a response? You could just blank it with Kuchelane. Yeah, decide to do that. So it says, actually, nope, it has no text. Please continue. You may use your Cindy if you wish. Cindy's not much good here as the Chaos can just jump block it. And now Ron has pitched his entire hand. So yeah, a simple shows with just how strong that Kuchulain card is. Just a simple discard one. Go ahead and turn that off entirely. Oh, and then I'll draw a card to replace it. And suddenly your entire plan doesn't work anymore. Feels pretty good. We did draw into another chaos. A bit useless at the moment, but if this one dies, we'll have a nice backup. We are going to remove 2 of those and play Une. I'm assuming we're going to bounce Aranea and Reeve. Yep. Aranea. And Ron doesn't have anything in hand, so I don't think he has much to think about. I guess he could respond. Didn't bounce the Reeve, really? That's kind of surprising. We are going to use the Cindy. Man, oh man, are we hoping to hit an EX burst or what? So neither of those 2 cards can use their action abilities. Oh, and there is a bonus burst. Odin to clean the clock of Leo. Why didn't he bounce the Reeve? Did he just not want to give him the CP to replay the Aranea? I'm assuming that's what it was that if he bounces Reeve, he says I can just replay Aranea this turn. Not that Aranea would break anything. He'd essentially be paying 6 for a hasted forward. Are we going to our limit break once again? Is it Matt? It is. So we're going to pitch 2 cards from hand. Does that mean we're going to use Cindy's effect again? I mean, Ron's kind of killing himself at this point. He's got to be mindful of that. But clearly Cindy's his girl. He's used it turn 1 in every single game, so he is going to live or die by this card. Hoping for another EX burst. Not this time. It's Cloud. Hits the radio 1, 2, 3, 4. So 5 damage to 4. Yeah, maybe that's why David wasn't attacking earlier too. He thought, you know what? This guy's going to kill himself with this Cindy. I mean, he's getting the damage through, but yeah, he's almost tied on damage with his opponent, and he's the aggressor, so. And David just feels like he's a top deck arc away from just putting this game, in the freezer, locking it up. Or, yeah, Ixion's pretty solid too. Une getting that back, which means we'll just clean up this Cindy very quickly. Or just use it to get Cloud, which is even better. Why use a summon when you can get a body on the board and do the same thing? This is a very strange match. David's not attacking at all. Ron is attacking, but it's also killing himself by doing it. Like, you have to think David's in control, right? Because he has 6 characters on the board versus Ron's 2. But Ron also keeps finding ways to just keep putting that pressure on little by little by little. But he's also on 4 damage, and David with 3 forwards means Ron's on lethal. If David can just, like, pop an arc on this Matt or whatever forward Ron might produce, and then he just swings in for game. Odin is not going to help against this board since Cloud is the only viable target. You swing in with the Cloud first. Even if you hit the Odin, it can't target the Une or the Chaos. We have another Cindy. Let's see. Looks like I do have a few updates from some of the other tables. Ryan C versus Milo M. Ryan got that round, and Brian B versus Lyndon. Brian got it. So top 4 should be Ryan, Brian, Ron or David, whoever wins here, and then out of the Alex and Mike matchup. Yeah, Ron is trying to find some way to keep it. He's just so low on resources. I don't know what he could possibly pull out of this. And it's not like our opponent's on 6. For our opponent's on 6, you just got to push the board out of the way, and then you go in for that last point, right? Giving up knocked again. Yeah, we're going back to Cindy. Had to overpay for it, though. I'm assuming we don't have lightning CP. I mean, Cindy can dull one thing, which he's gonna do, take another point of damage. He's hoping he's hitting a. He's gonna hope he hits an Odin here to clean the cloud out. Can he do it? Nope. There's another Noct. Poor Noct just sitting there like, wait, why aren't we? Why am I not being used? I mean, David just set himself. Or sorry, Ron set himself up for lethal. Like, he's now just has an open board, and David has 2 attackers. Oh man, this Cindy, like, it's cool to see him use it, but he kind of killed himself with it. Players are checking the break zones. I mean, Ron has a single card in hand. Like, you know, an Odin can't stop any of these forwards. Unless Ron has a burst that just outright dulls a forward, David should have this. Here we go. Oh yeah, Ron saying, okay, I'm trying to will this Odin on top of the deck. Nope. And that's game. Big ol' handshake from the boys as David will take this one with a pretty clean 2-0. Oh man, that's he was looking to see, I guess that Odin was maybe one of the few things left in the deck. Technically there's the Kadaj, but we knew the Kadaj was pretty close to the bottom because of the what put it on the bottom earlier, the 6 cost Leviathan. So congratulations to David. He'll be moving on to our top 4. And I think we're still waiting on the match from Alex and Mike to finish. Yeah, the deck title was called EX Gonna Give It To You, but that time EX did not give it to him. Mr. Tacos is going on. Must have been all those delicious tacos they got yesterday. All right, there's been a lot of time, especially with the technical difficulties we have, so I'm going to assume it's not going to be too long. We'll just have to wait and get the results of the Mike and Alex match, and we'll report those as soon as we get them. All right, folks, looks like we've got Brian B versus David M coming up here on stream. Go ahead and put your bets in now on who you think's going to take this. David, we just saw a moment ago, he is running the Chaos Arc Earth Water with a slight splash of lightning list, and I'm pretty sure Brian is on seven cost wall, Giga Wall, if you will. I'm not sure if he's running the kind of 8 package variant or the more traditional fire, water, ice variant, but I'm gonna assume it's gonna be stuffed with 3 costs, as they usually are. Want to give a special shout out to the Tabletop Tavern for hosting today's San Diego Final Fantasy TCG Materia Cup. I am your host, Rudros. Happy to have you here watching and chat. Only 2 more rounds to go. Our other semifinal is Mike Powell versus Ryan Chen, and the winner of that will take on the winner of David versus Brian. All 4 of these people are now guaranteed an invite to Nationals, although Mike and Ryan already had one. I doubt David and Brian did. I don't think they did. Maybe David might have. I don't think Brian's played before this tournament, so either way, they're all going now. Pitching 4, I'm assuming it's an Aria. No, it's actually was that the Uke? It's going to flip until we find, I'm assuming, Warrior of Light. Yep, 4-color Warrior of Light. And looks like we might be on a more traditional version of Giga Wall. I say traditional as if it's been out forever. It hasn't even been a year since it's been out. But it's what you would come to expect from this list. And do we have anything else? Nope. So presumably we either had a really bad mulligan or we have 7 wool already in hand, which is why we went in on the Uke. I think it's a Uke ice backup. David is going to put out an Astrologian. He shall divine the stars. Draw 3 cards off the top of your deck. Well, you don't technically draw at them. You look at them. Put 1 into your hand, 1 on top of the deck, and then 1 on the bottom. Both players with a nice little standard unit start. Are we going to see 7-cost wool coming down this turn? I think that's Sarah FFL I see in hand, so we could go get it if we still don't have it. We do have an ice backup down, so we could just put out something like that Zero-Miss in hand. Freeze our opponent's backup and start hitting their resources. Ryan has a couple choices he can make here. Or you can go by the old classic limit break standby Leo. Leo, draw a card. We actually get rid of the Zero-Miss. Going to put down Remedy, or sorry, Mute. Mute can search out Remedy or Sid Randall. I don't know how good Sid Randall is here. We are going to search it out. I wonder if Brian's going to put it down. Because David probably wants to go kind of slow anyway. Okay, so we give up Sid Randall, 4-color wool, as well as Amaterasu. Now we're going to go search out 7-color wool. So we didn't have the light wool in hand. We'll get another 4-color wool as well as light wool. And Brian taking a slower approach to this. You know, it's very common you see the turn 1 backup and then you jam it out. And Brian says, no, I would like to save 1 more card in hand for this light wall. So he is set up to make it a little less expensive for himself. I would say, I don't know how good Sid Randall is in this matchup, as David wants to scale up on his backups anyway. Yeah, it'll turn off something like Chaos, but it doesn't stop something like Arc. So we have Shantoto in hand. Would be a very bad idea to go in on that right now. Looks like we might have Thornton too. We had a Lopprit, okay. For Tyro, yep, so we can search out any forward we want. Might go get the Chaos here. It's a pretty decent counter to the Wool 7 in the sense that Ultimate Shield does not protect the forward steal effect. Une can be very good as well, as we can disrupt our opponent's backup line. If he wanted to jam out this Une right now, he could, and that way Brian still is going to have to pay with 3 cards in hand for the Wool 7. Or David can also just be patient and see what happens. He's really not under any pressure at the moment. Right, you have to think it's coming down this turn. Do we have a Levi Tarasu in hand? Yep. And spin the wheel. What do we get? Doodly 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 ding 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 ding. Vincent's quite good. Onion Knight. Ooh, Zeromus is good too. If you get Vincent and Zeromus, it's too much freezing. You actually don't have enough targets to freeze. Onion Knight doesn't do a whole lot here. It's just a body. But both of these cards do threaten to keep our opponent's backups down for a very long time. We also, importantly, reveal an Amaterasu, so David knows that unless Brian happens to have one left in hand, he's not going to be able to counter this Shantota, which he can drop. And we do know he has the Toto in hand, so I would expect that's probably going to be David's line of play here. Even though, yeah, he's going to have to overpay for it, but... Brian will pass there. Yeah, we actually had too many freezes. Vincent froze all the backups by himself, so Zeromus didn't have anything else to freeze. I'm assuming this is just going to be a hard cast pitchfork cards for Shantoto. And then Brian will have to start the process all over again. Yep, there's 4. Here's the lady. Oh. With 2 in hand, there's no Amaterasu is going to save us here, especially when we pitched one already and just revealed one off the wall 7. All right, so that might be... That's a really good play for David. Brian needs to draw more gas here to keep putting on pressure. He almost would have rather have like drawn the Vincent here, and now he can just Vincent to freeze all the backups. He did draw Zeromus. I don't know if he has the lightning to play it. As we have 2 ice backups and a water backup, you can also just go into Leo. Yep, which is what we're going to do. Leo! Come on, Leo. Can't you see-o? Leo will come down to draw us a card. Just deciding what to give up. Can't imagine Little Leela's too useful here. Yep, so we'll give up one of those. Anything good? Unfortunately, because we're already at 3 backups, if we're running any of like the Samurai or Sage or the backups that give us a crystal and draw a card, those won't draw anymore since we already have 3 backups down. Brian gonna see if he can't dig deeper towards that next wall 7. And David has all his resources back. Yeah, that explosive turn of wall 7 didn't feel quite as explosive. He probably would have rather have seen, I don't know, maybe another backup or something that drew him a card along with the Vincent. Vincent and Zeromus together. It's a lot of freezes. A lot of them went to waste, unfortunately. Echidna, we're going to get back a summon. Probably Kuchlain or Kusith? Ixion, okay. That's interesting. Yeah, Ixion, if you pay the kicker cost, will upgrade and then hit all 3 costs. And since Brian's deck should be mostly 3 costs, that does essentially threaten a board wipe at instant speed. That's quite strong. I'll be honest. I'll be honest. It's quite strong. Brian trying to consider, okay, what did we draw here? He could swing with Leo. Of course, David can activate the Echidna and block, but it does mean he's getting a card out of hand. But then it also means he draws because Echidna draws when it blocks for some reason. But Brian's trying to test, say, okay, yeah, do you want to do that? Go ahead. What would you like to do? He couldn't threaten like a Vincent, or not Vincent, a Zach follow-up, because Leo would hit for 3, Zach would hit for 3. David is going to do it. He discards the Arc. Says, I'd like to make this a 4. Does Brian have a response before the block occurs? He's considering something. Do we have some kind of back attack? No. I'm curious to know what card he could be playing here. Bahamut. Oh, okay, so we do have some more summon action. So Bahamut's going to try to blast this. We do pitch 2 for Mist Dragon to cancel it. Oh, boy. And declare block. Oh, hold on. Wait, one more. We have even more interaction. Amaterasu. Oh, my goodness. So we Amaterasu the card draw. Oh, my goodness. Wow. Yeah, so, well, that was another Amaterasu gone. So Brian's probably not going to have that for a minute. And so now David's going to have to go to his deck like, all right, I too need Leo. That was an interesting sequence of events. So we animated the Echidna. We tried to hit it with the Bahamut. We used the Mist Dragon to cancel the Bahamut, then went to block. The block creates an auto trigger because it blocked to draw a card, and then we Amaterasu that trigger. Holy moly. Still don't see a Light Wall in hand. I do see a Zeromus. But again, we don't have any lightning on the backup line. But it would start hitting our opponent's resources. It also does make Chaos just a little bit cheaper, so that's not good either. We could see the clash of the Leos. I have a feeling if Brian's Leo goes in, the David's Leo is just going to block it. There is one of our Samurai backups. Are we accessing our limit break again? Or are we just going to Zack this? Zack attack. Gets rid of Leo. Well, I guess Leo won't be blocking today. Now the way is open for Brian to go ahead and pop in for a point of damage. Let's see, we've got even more we want to commit. David has both Shantoto and Tyro as a way to generate lightning CP, so he will still be able to use that Ixion he had in hand to just clean up the board. So Brian does need to be a little mindful about committing more 3 costs to the board, as he's essentially going to just walk into the Ixion. But no, he wants to do the... Oh, it's Gilgamesh. Oh, okay. How many colors does he have? The Shantoto removed the light wall earlier, so that shouldn't be in there. So there's no way we have 7. I'm assuming we have at least 5. Yeah. We're going to lock out the Tyro. David takes first point of damage. Hecaton Kyre. Decent hit for Brian. And Leo sees the man in black go, here comes the man in black. You could have, if you really wanted to, followed up with a Zeromus to lock out the Shantoto. Because I feel like the lightning kicker for David's potentially a threat here. Maybe not, though, because he does need an initial lightning to pay for it, and then he needs the kicker cost. So he would actually need another lightning card in hand. He needed both the Toto and the Tyro to generate the CP for that. I don't remember. Is it 2 lightning and a colorless, or is it just 1? Let me see if I can pull that up. Ixion. The kicker on Ixion is 1 lightning, 2 colorless. Okay, so he would just need 1 more source of lightning. We are going to reach into our limit break. I'm assuming Cloud is going to come down to bop that Gilgamesh and say, sir, I'm rather tired of your shenanigans. Do away with you now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we've used a good chunk of our limit our limit breakfast for David. Does Brian have a response to this? Obviously, he can't wool shield without wool on the field. Nope, Gilgamesh says goodbye. And this Cloud is going to block his former friend Zack as well as the Leo. And David able to keep a nice, healthy 5-card hand. Or is it 4? I think it's 5. But either way, it's a nice, healthy hand. Still haven't seen Light Wall number 2 on Brian's side. Without that, he is going to struggle to generate some pressure on this board. Ah, or will you when you have Gilgamesh Part 2? I'm assuming he still is on 5 colors. So we're probably going to go in. Actually hit the Cloud, or do we want to hit the backups? If you hit the Cloud, you open the way for the Zack and the Leo. If you hit the backups, obviously you're locking him out of those resources. Gilgamesh himself has 1,000 power and first strike, so he can trade with the Cloud very well. Brian goes to lock out the backups. Checking his hand. Is there anything else I want to do? I mean, they can't party attack. Leo and Zack are 2 different elements. I guess he could like swing in and then try to bait out some kind of combat trick, but I'm not sure what that would be. So passes it back to David. What does David have on his side? He's got a lot of cards, so you think he's got to be able to pull something off here. I think I saw Loperit, so we can set up our backups a little further. We can dig just a little deeper into the deck. If we have Chaos, Chaos is -6 cost, so it'd be 5. That's pretty solid. Well, you'll probably only end up stealing a Leo unless you have an Arc. Kryl, nice. Okay, so we're gonna get back a summon. Is it Arc? Yep. Okay, we might be ready to see Arc Chaos. Brian says, "Yep." Brian thinking, "What am I gonna do about it? I don't run Mist Dragon." So now do we pitch 3 for Chaos? Do we have Chaos? I think I see it right there behind the Arc, but it's a little hard to tell. You are losing 3 cards in hand, but you can kill the Gilgamesh. Hit Brian's hand as well. You should know he doesn't have Amaterasu. 2 are in the break zone. The other one went to the bottom of the deck. Yep, so it looks like this is going to be Chaos. And I'm assuming on the stack, you're going to use Arc on Gilgamesh. Or are we trying to decide if this resolves? Okay, takes Leo. Are you just going to hold the... Yeah, I feel like you have to fire that off now. Just in case he were to play Light Wall next turn. What do we give up? 4-color Wall is great if we can get the ultimate shield, but without it, it's kind of a dead card in hand. So I almost feel like you get rid of that. In Zero Miss, as much as I love that card, he can't cast it right now. And poor Zach, he's not going to do much against this board either. Starting to look very much in David's favor. Here comes Cloud for a point of damage. Brian takes Arya. Wow. Hits that bonus burst. Well, if you need Light Wall, that's how you get it. David just thinking, wait a minute. What? How many EX bursts are in this deck? This deck not known for running a bunch of bursts, but boy, did Arya show up right on time there. Okay, well, this could certainly flip things. Now Brian doesn't have to hope he draws into the second one. He's just got it. However, if David can somehow use Arc again, which I don't think he can because he only has 1 card left in hand, he could rip that Wool 7 right out of Brian's hand. EX Burst, pretty strong, aren't they? Now, this will cost Brian most of his hand. He does have a Vincent. That's kind of nice. He could just hard cast it. I'm assuming you're going to go in on the Wool 7, right? Checking his breaks. He's probably going through his inventory. Okay, what have I already hit? There are quite a few cards in that break zone. So he's got to think, okay, what could I realistically even hit off this wall? It's later in the game. He does give up the Vincent. Here comes Wall 7. What do we get? That's not good. That's not good. Uh-oh. Okay, X-Star's good. Oh, okay, we did hit 2. And that Lena should be online, right? Fire, Ice, Water. Oh, and the Axe Star as well. Oh boy. Does Brian have something in hand he can play off the Axe Star? Axe Star will pretty much dull freeze everything except for Leo on David's side. And it will dull freeze our own. But we can also shoot anything. I'm assuming you're going to shoot the Chaos, right? Oh, and we have Zero Miss in hand. Oh, we have Zero Miss in hand. Oh boy. Oh, this is going to be a big turn for Brian. Holy moly. So yeah, what you probably do, you stack it in a way because you want the Lena to resolve. I mean, Lena is probably going to end up, he'll sacrifice the Leo, right? You shoot the Chaos with the Axe Star. Presumably, David will sacrifice the Leo to Lena. You'll also draw a card off of Lena because there's 4 colors on the board. And then you just hit whatever backups you feel like with Zeromus. I actually think his name, like, I don't know what's technically the proper way, if it's Zeromus or Zeromus. I think it sounds good regardless. So we resolve the Lena draw effect, which is, that's a nice thing too. Yeah, Lena can technically, you can resolve the draw first because it's 2 separate auto abilities. It's if you have 2 colors, draw, and then if you have 4 colors, they sacrifice something. So I'm assuming that was the Axe Star shot. I doubt that was the draw. And then there's the Zeromus. Zeromus will take out Tyro. Tyro's just getting picked on all day long. And then now we have to sacrifice to the Lena. And you presume it would be Leo. No, he gives up Cloud. Probably maybe wanting to cast the next Cloud would be my only guess. And maybe wants to keep the Leo as a blocker. Although, yeah, there's only one attacker this turn. And Brian passes. Oh my, what a flip. What a flip. Poor Zach was out there all alone. He's like, don't worry, I have friends. Cue the Avengers theme song, and a bunch of portals opened in the sky, and they all came flooding out behind him. Giga Wall, assemble. Bum, ba-da-da-dun. All right. Can David get his way out of this? He does have a Shantoto in hand. However, Shantoto is already on the board. We've already used that card for the first Wall 7. So unless we can find a way to break our own Shantoto, that's not going to be much help. What else is there? You can cast a Cloud to kill... I guess you have to kill Zero Miss, otherwise he just dulls at the end of the turn anyway. Although Axstar is going to kill any forge you put out. And we do get the Cloud, okay. That's going to be the rest of our Limit Break deck. Yep, has to be Zero Miss. Although, again, Axstar is going to kill you anyway, so you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. Goodbye, sweet Zero Miss. Maybe David can hope for some bursts. If Brian has an ultimate shield in hand, he definitely wants to use that before he starts swinging in. We actually don't have lethal, yeah, because the what's it called? The Warrior of Light cannot attack. So unless we can produce a hasted Florida. Well, no, actually, hold on. We do have the Sarah backup. Sarah can activate Warrior of Light to get that lethal point of damage. The question is, do we have ultimate shield? And if so, we definitely need to pop it before a potential EX burst stop us. Which is, you know what? That's what Brian's thinking right now. All right, we're going to combat. Axstar, take out Mr. Cloud. Point of damage. It is a bonus burst, but it's a recursion from the break zone. We're probably looking for more removal here. We do get back chaos. So that's not going to help us cast any potential summons. Here comes Zach. It is another bonus burst. Reduce change effects, draw a card. Is that going to matter? Here comes Lena. No burst that time. Do we go for the lethal? Activate Wool 7. Does David have anything in hand to stop this? I don't see anything, but... Yep, okay, that was it. So we'll activate Wool 7, going for the 7 point of damage. Brian pulls it out. Holy moly, did that flip quick. He just... Yeah, David looked like he 100% stabilized off the chaos, and oh my god, he swung once. Swung once, hit the Aria. That looked like a... looked like a trap card on Brian's side there. Looked like a spellbinding circle. Swung once, hit the Aria. Brian guarantees he gets the Wool 7. Now, granted, there was a chance he could have naturally drawn into it because he hadn't seen a second one, and he was pretty deep into the deck. So the odds were starting to come up in his favor that he was due to draw a second one. But, you know, why rely on the odds? As Han Solo would say, never tell me the odds, when Arya can just go get it for you. So that just flipped on a dime. Great hits off the Wool 7, hitting the Axstar, the Lena, to play the free Zero Miss. Like, whoo, what a game. All right, Brian is one game away from the finals. David will get to go first in this next game if he so chooses. Can he turn this around? Did Brian get his Leo back? Sorry, I'm catching up on chat between... We got 61 people in here watching. Thank you for joining us as we stream from the Tabletop Tavern San Diego Materia Cup for the Final Fantasy trading card game. I hope you all have had an enjoyable, lovely weekend. As much as we have enjoyed bringing it to you, we apologize, of course, for any technical issues we've had throughout the streams. Never fun to be on the wrong side of those, but they happen sometimes. I know that team's doing their best. And my name is Rudros. Thank you for watching. Let's jump into match 2. All right, let me see a few voices in chat. Who's going to take this? Is Brian taking this out 2-0, or is David going to bounce back? Take us to a game 3. All right, David will start us off with Iridia. And we're going to see if he puts down that Ico he loves so much and get a arc right into the break zone. Nope, decides to be patient. Says, let's see what you have, Mr. Brian. Now, Brian last time actually took his time curving out those backups. We'll see if he takes that slow approach again, or maybe he'll just jam out Wolf 7 turn 1 this time. We do play a backup. So we play the Samurai. We're going to draw a card and gain a crystal. Oh, okay, that's what that card was we saw earlier. It looks like a Yu-Gi-Oh card, but it's a crystal card. Brian looking for a crystal counter. Oh, there you go. Okay, he's getting a die. I keep a track of the number of them. Saying, you know, I could be playing more of these. David can at the least put down the Ico backup. No, we're putting down Tyro. Interesting. Okay. Going for 5-drop city. Destination me. We will search out the Man in Black. Going to try to value some summon recursion in this deck. Does not go for chaos this time. It's probably a little too early for that anyway. And again, last time Brian didn't just jam out Wolf 7 after that, so we'll see if he's going to just try to curve into it, or if he's got it, or if he's got a searcher. He's me. Oh, I think we're going in on Wolf 7. That's 3 cards pitched. One of them's a Gilgamesh. Don't see what the others are. And here we go. What does the slot machine say today? Doodly 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 ding 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 ding. Miss, miss, hit, hit, miss. Brian's getting close, man. He's almost missing on some of these, but kind of a similar problem that we had last time, like over freezes. Granted, I don't know if that Gilgamesh is online. We might not have 5 colors for him, but we might have haste. So Vincent will freeze down the backup line. Is this going to look similar to round 1 where we saw Shantoto? Here comes Gilgamesh. It is a Lop Rip Bunny into damage, and I'm assuming we're going to pass there. This time, though, I think Brian does have 3 in hand still, so he potentially could have Amaterasu if we have Shantoto on David's side. But it will be expensive for David. He was locked out of his backups. You can put the Ico down at least. And again, I'm not sure if we have 5 colors for that Gilgamesh, so he might not be dull freezing. So we pitch 2. Going into our limit break deck. Okay. Ooh, if we have Ultimate Shield in the hand, this could be a rough punish. Says, I'd like to break your Gilgamesh. And Brian says, well. Oh, no, we're still deciding. I thought he'd already selected Gilgamesh. He might be asking about the colors, like how many colors. So it looks like maybe he targeted Vincent. Brian says, well, okay, no. What if I say no? And David's like, huh. I kind of preferred if you would have said yes. I think you might develop the Ico here. Yeah. You can fish out a potentially like an arc, a card you wouldn't want to draw next turn. Hopefully get closer to your Toto. Brian will take his turn. We did just put Light Wall into the break zone. So, man, if we have 4-color wall, we might be able to turn this Gilgamesh on. That'd be pretty scary. I can't see what's in Brian's hand. I see a Ferris. There's at least a Ferris and maybe an Arya. But no Amaterasu that I could see. No 4-color wall. Yeah, it is Arya. Well, Arya could search for the 4-color wall if we wanted to. Granted, maybe you don't need to push this early. Your opponent's only on 1 damage. Even if you can turn Gilgamesh fully online, you can't kill him this turn. Nope, looks like we might just go right to combat. Send in Wall 7. David takes a point of damage. It is a oh, it's Shantoto. Oh, that was like the sad Shantoto cry. David just thinking, "Ah, frick, that's what I wanted." Vincent is going to use his action ability to dull himself to freeze a character. We're going to keep Tyro down, keep our opponent off those extra colors. And do we send in Gilgamesh? Yes, we do. Do we have enough colors for him to be online? Brian's checking just to make sure. I'm guessing not. It doesn't look like he's targeting anything on David's board, so we must only have the 4 colors, maybe even less. Hits an Une. Ooh, that's a good hit on Brian's side. All right, then we'll pass to David. Yeah, well, luckily for David, this Gilgamesh has not been online. So if Gilgamesh was online and he was taking out 2 backups, or a backup with the Vincent, now we'd really be in danger. I'm assuming we didn't draw into another Shantoto. I think Aiko can get us back a summon. I'm not sure how much that helps here, and you'd lose the backup for it, so that really doesn't sound worth it. Pull up Aiko. I think she has an action ability to sacrifice herself. Aiko, pay a water and a generic, dull her, put her into the break zone. Choose a summon in your break zone, add it to your hand. Yep, so she can recur. So we're going to pitch Tyro for Garnet. Okay, another way to get back summons. Is there anything that's removal here? Cuchulain's not bad. Cuchulain does turn off the Gilgamesh if it potentially gets online. Brian says, yep, that's good to resolve. And we're going to immediately pitch the Cuchulain. Oh, we're just going to play Leo. Okay. Yeah, just going to get some bodies on board. Leo will help draw us 1 card deeper. Who knows? Maybe we'll draw into that Shantoto. Not that it's helpful right at this moment. David just goes ahead and just casually tucks that down there. And here we go. Brian draws 2 for turn. He would love to turn this Gilgamesh online, start dull freezing this board. However, it does have first strike, so it at least can get over this Cloud or this Garnet. Even if he doesn't get to the full 7 colors, as long as he gets to 5, and you're at least threatening a single dull freeze, that'd be huge. I mean, if you can get to the full 7, goodness gracious. If you can get to full 7 colors, you're on lethal unless David has an answer in hand. What do we got? Discard Arya for Ferris. Okay, yeah. We have a Warrior of Light on our board. So it'll ultimately be a 7k ping that isn't enough to take out Garnet or Cloud. But so Ferris will do 1,000 to all forwards, and then we have 2 Warriors of Light, so she'll trigger twice. We'll get 2 additional pings of 3,000. We can easily take out Leo. And then we can just put more. I guess if we could somehow haste this Ferris, yeah, we can take out the Cloud as well. Probably going to use Vincent to hold down a backup, I would imagine. Go to combat. Here comes Gilgamesh. Looks like we still... Oh, do we have the Dull Freeze finally? Okay, looks like we do. Or no, he's saying maybe not. I'll say I didn't think I saw him put more colors in there, but... Oh, and there's a bonus burst. And what a burst it is. 6 cost levy right on time. We can remove Vincent. We can remove Warrior of Light. I don't know if you want to bounce Vincent, because you probably don't want him to replay him and just freeze all your backups. You can also just get water for it out of your break zone. Looks like, yeah, we're going to target Une. And Mr. Warrior of Light, bye-bye, sir. All the way to the bottom of the deck with you. That is the last thing Brian wanted to run into there. Yeah, run into it. He did. Yeah, so now he's thinking, well, crap, now what do I do? Was potentially hoping to put him to damage 5, and Leviathan from World of Final Fantasy just came down and said, No, I'd rather you didn't. I'm assuming we'll use Vincent to still freeze the Tyro. He wants to check his opponent's break zone. I can't imagine what way we would have to give this Ferris haste. If you could pick off another forward. And then whichever one remains would trade with Ferris. You could just hold steady, pass the turn, maybe develop another backup if you've got one. Yeah. Brian is in turmoil, trying to figure out what the best play to do here is. What does his hat say? Does it say when we were young? So let's see. We've gotten rid of a Toto, a Titus, a Elite. And we've got Cloud on the... So there is one more Cloud we could potentially use. We will go ahead and freeze the Tyro. And I'm assuming we'll pass after that. Yes. No, Brian's really thinking about it. Okay. I say I can't really see what's in his hand, so I'm not sure what else he could have played that turn. David's got to feel so much better knowing that Ultimate Shield isn't a factor he has to worry about now. So Une could be a decent card here. Get rid of his only backup, make him pay again for one of those forwards. Ferris also a lot less threatening without the extra Warrior of Light on board. David is going to take a moment here to decide what he would like to do as well. I don't hate the Une here, and the Une puts a threat too that then Brian kind of has to answer. But now you're threatening to get back a lot of value over and over again. Wall decks tend to not be able to interact with your break zone very often. At least not without Irvine. A tense moment here in the semifinals of the San Diego Materia Cup, as both players try to think what they can and can't do. Miss Dragon in hand doesn't do a whole lot for us. You probably want to save that as a potential Amaterasu counter. Looking at potentially what he could do. Okay, so we are going in on the Une. We'll remove 2 summons from the break zone to reduce the cost by 2. I like the Une play. Again, I think there's good stuff that, yeah, I know a bunch of these cards technically have entry effects, but like Gilgamesh doesn't technically have an entry effect. If you bounce him, bounce that back up. Make him pay from 2 cards in hand to put it back out. The only one you really probably don't want to bounce is Vincent. Are we doing Toto? Oh, we're casting Chaos. Okay. That's what we're doing. Interesting. So we didn't end up removing the 2 summons. So if you're Brian, assuming this doesn't have an arc follow-up, probably give him... Maybe you just give him Vincent. I mean, what's Vincent going to do? Stun your one backup? I mean, I guess they can keep the Gilgamesh down, but... Probably don't want to give him Ferris as that's potential removal. You could give him Ferris. The only one you don't really want to give him is Gilgamesh. Although... Well, no, because David has Dark as well as the Lightning potentially in his break zone. So the Gilgamesh isn't really going to threaten to dull freeze anything, but it will threaten to... it would just have haste for strike, 1k. Yeah, I think Vincent's maybe the right choice. But the Gilgamesh just has so much more potential on Brian's side that if he can get the colors fully online, he's really going to storm off. If there is an arc in the break zone, we also could just use that Ico at instant speed to get that. Boy, Brian would like to see another Wool 7 here with an ultimate shield in hand to protect the board. There's one backup. There's an Onion Knight. One more. Do we have Wool 7? Yeah, looks... No, are we playing something for 5? There it is. It's another Gilgamesh. It's the man, the myth, the legend, taking on this behemoth. Da 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 da. I don't know why I just sang the Stormblood theme. I guess I was looking at that samurai. Yep, David says it revolves. Now, Brian's gotten close to missing earlier. Ooh, Axstar's good. Mute's good. Moody's good. So only one forward, but nice backups. The Moody specifically can go get Amaterasu, which could be huge. Mute not as great. If you want to guarantee you have an effect for Axstar, you could get Mute to search out Remedy. And that way you can guarantee you have a forward to play. I can't see Brian's hand. I don't know if he's got one right now. I feel like Axstar has to come down no matter what. Axstar also freezes a good chunk of David's board, half of his board. So we're going to go for Axstar and Mute. I'm assuming the first thing we're going to have resolve is the Mute effect. So we will have to declare all of our triggers now. So Axstar will dull freeze. He's going to play something, and we have to decide who we want to target for the banish. You could kill your own Vincent. And that way you get it back off of his board. The Garnet is the other option. Chaos and Cloud are going to be dull frozen. Do we have Arc? So I'm assuming the first thing Brian wants to resolve is Mute. Okay, yep. So we're going to go get the Arc. We are giving up the Ico. We're going to try to get Arc back. Does Brian have the ultimate shield in hand to prevent this? If this Arc goes off, that's huge because then it's going to cut off the Axstar play. Now, again, granted, we can still search out Remedy, so that can still be played for free. Accidentally revealed the Ferris, but yep, says ultimate shield. That's going to be a no from me, dog. Just puts his hand up, blong, blocks everything. Oh, does that mean Gilgamesh is online now too? Because that's a new 4 colors into the break zone. Or... Okay, so it looks like maybe the Arc wasn't cast. I thought he was doing it in response to the Arc being cast. But it looks like he's doing it in response to him getting it back, period. Is there a reason to wait? We actually searched out Sid Randall. Like, wouldn't you want him to try to cast the Arc and then you protect against it? We'll blow up the Garnet. The Axstar trigger. Yeah, I think you technically could have waited till he tried to use the Arc, but either way, your forwards are protected. And if your Gilgamesh is fully online, I think it might be. This could be game right here. Everything's protected. No Leviathan burst. Oh, and there's a second Shantoto. And that's the game. Brian takes it 2-0. Holy, yeah, Brian's like, wait, please give me my cards back. I don't want to get a game loss on the next thing. Oh, my goodness. Congratulations to Brian. The Leviathan almost flipped it around, and we got into the chaos. We just didn't have the Arc in hand, and having to do the shenanigans with the Ico could have stabilized us there first. But even if, like, let's say, even if that Arc resolved, Brian didn't have the ultimate shield, assuming Brian runs Remedy, he could go search out the Remedy, still free play the Remedy, the Axstar trigger. You're still blowing something up. You're still dull freezing most of his board. You still have a Gilgamesh to deal with, and David would have been down even more backups. So yeah, that was huge. So Brian is on his way to the finals. He will meet the winner of the Mike and Ryan match, and we will give an update on that as soon as we get it. A hearty fist bump from our competitors. Congrats to David as well. You are on your way to Nats, sir. even if it didn't quite work out to get to the finals. But damn good job getting all the way to the semis. All right, we're going to take a short break. I will give you an update on the other two matches as soon as I hear it. I'm going to get some water, rest my voice, and don't go anywhere because we've got just one match left in the day, and it is our finals, which will be between Mr. Brian Berkeley and the winner of Mike Powell and Ryan Chen. Stick around. All right, folks, we are back for our grand finals here at the Tabletop Tavern San Diego Materia Cup for Final Fantasy Trading Card Game 2024. It's just a single trading card. Haha. We have Mr. Mike Powell on the left side versus Mr. Brian B on the right side. Mike is on his very classic 4-color Warrior of Light deck based on Refia, which he's been running all season. And holy moly, this looks awful familiar because I'm pretty sure I just cast this guy in the Florida finals as well. 2 finals in 1 season? Pretty impressive. Can he get a second win, a second Materia Cup win this season? Or is Mr. Brian B going to put a stop to that? Now, if going first is based on seeding, I do believe Brian should have the advantage there. So he should get to go first in this first matchup. And here we have a nice little deck list exchange. So let's see. I don't think I have poll powers here on Twitch, but feel free to let me know in the chat. Who do you think is going to win this? Is it going to be 7-color Warrior of Light, 7-cost Warrior of Light versus 4-color Warrior of Light Refia? Which deck, which player do you think is going to take the finals here at the Tabletop Tavern? Once again, thank you to the Tabletop Tavern for hosting the event, hooking us up with the stream. Been making our way through it, even in spite of any technical difficulties. And I'm your host, Rudros, and I'm happy to guide you through this. Is there any way to see how the top 16 bracket went up to this point? If someone wants to send me an image of that, I'll be happy to read it out for folks, but otherwise I'm not sure. All right, let's get to it. Brian is going to start off with a Sarah FFL this time, which is the first time we've seen him do this, at least in the last 2 games. Looks like he gave up a Ferris, a Samurai, and I can't quite tell what that card is behind it. But of course, you are going to get your 7-cost Wool as well as your 4-color Warrior of Light. And what will Mike start out with? Looks like he's got an Ingus in hand, he's got a Tyro, he's got quite a few backups he can go in on. Hit Mike doing the old card shuffle that I'm getting used to seeing him doing now. There's an Ingus, turn 1. We have another one as well. He's got Zidane. He's clearly thinking about just going in on Zidane and ripping out that light wall. Nope, pitches the Zidane for Lunith, says, go ahead. I don't mind. You may have that card. There's 3 Warriors of Light on the field right now. Sarah, Ingus, and Lunith, as well as big Warrior of Light now. A lot of Warriors of Light in this game. Here we go. Vincent's a good hit, Zeromus a good hit, Toto's a miss, Mog's a good hit, and one more Sarah. Nice. So interesting. Vincent obviously can lock out both of these backups. If you do Vincent Zeromus, that's a bit overkill. Mog lets you get a draw. Mog also shuts off any potential search. So if we were to put down our own Sarah FFL or even a King Tycoon, we could do that. So we go with the Mog and the Zeromus. Zeromus will only freeze 1 backup, but he does present a bit of more of a continued threat every turn, as he can attack and still freeze down backups. And we'll draw off the Mog entry effect. Nice. Pretty solid hit there for Brian. Not sure Mike would be happy to counter this with a Shantoto if he's got it. Well, he does have Lena, and he does have Tyro, so he can just keep developing backups. If he puts down both Lena and Tyro, he will be on all 4 colors. Even though, obviously, Zeromus is going to keep doling them, although Tyro will get canceled by the Mog. Oh, wow. So we're just going to try to trigger the Mog right now. Yeah, so Ferris comes in. She'll do 1,000 to the board. Then presumably he's going to try to shoot Mog for 3k, which will require Mog to sacrifice himself to prevent any searching this turn. Oh, we say no. Just ultimate shield. That's interesting. Wow. He really wants to protect that Mog, really wants to essentially keep Mike off the searching. Yeah, and the Ferris is going to be forced to be dulled off the Zeromus. Now, granted, if you want to keep this Mog alive every turn, you're going to have to freeze this Ferris, which means you are taking pressure off Mike's backups. Brian really valuing that Mog. I'm kind of surprised he would use an ultimate shield just for that. Granted, if he has a Gilgamesh follow-up, that would be quite strong, as there are surely 5 colors in the break zone at this point. You can swing into 3 damage. So here comes Zeromus. Who do we want? Do we want to take down the backups? No, we locked down the Ferris. Brian really valuing this Mog. And there's a bonus burst, which we could just turn the Mog off right now. There you go, that guy. Just in case I want to get rid of it. Here comes big 9k Wool. And it's another bonus burst. Better get used to this, Brian. You're going to see a lot of these in this deck. Mike Powell's deck runs so many EX bursts. We do go ahead and get back the Tyro back up. And are we 3 for 3? It's a... Oh, yeah, that's a bonus burst. So, wow. Well, you have nothing to get back from the break zone. So you're probably sending Warrior 7 packing, and then you're going to bounce. Do you bounce the Mog or do you bounce the Zeromus? Yeah, the Zeromus is harder to play. Mog would be easier to play right off the Sarah. Well, that, I think that could have gone a little better for Brian, or Brain B, as it says down there. Ferris is also on damage 3 now. Not that it matters when she's already on the field. My goodness. My golly goodness. Well, now what do? You don't have Wool 7. Yeah, if you'd have kept the shield for even that push, the Leviathan wouldn't have done anything. The Kuchulain wouldn't have done. He would have gotten a card back off the Kusith, but he actually would have prevented two. Not that Brian could have possibly known that, but I'm told to see the word skill in the chat. It's all skill, baby. Yeah, so Brain B opts to just pass the turn at that point, which gives Mike P a chance to set up his backups even more. Get rid of another Zidane. Not really valuing that card here. Here's a King Tycoon. Surely we are going to sacrifice this Mog to prevent the search. I mean, is there a reason not to? Unless you really want to get in a 4th point of damage? Of course you break the Mog. No, he lets it go. Huh. I wonder what Brian's plan for this Mog is. He valued it enough to keep it alive off of a Ferris ping by blowing Ultimate Shield. But he doesn't want to use it to stop a search. The only thing, unless he's waiting for a bigger search, he knows he got the Tyro back. So maybe he's... But it would cancel the Tyro for the turn too, right? It just cancels all searching that turn. It's not like it cancels the next search. It just says they can't search cards that turn. Yeah, and Mike is online now. He's got all 4 colors. I can see that 4-color Warrior Light in hand. It is ready to rip, rock, and roll next turn. And this is already looking very south for Mr. Brain B. I mean, a second wall is nice, although with that Lunas standing up, you have to wonder if an Amaterasu is potentially going to come down. All right, we got wall part 2. Yes, we do. Do we have Amaterasu in hand? Yes, we do. That's a Snap Tarasu. Say, nah, I'm good. I'd really rather you not resolve that. So wall 7 just became a Sephiroth. Discard 2 cards. Mog's gonna get in. Is it 4 for 4? No, we do hit the 3rd Zidane. So Zidane is out of commission for right now, unless we can revive him from the break zone, which there are certainly ways to do in this deck. Here comes presumably Warrior of Light, which is also going to be a very, very easy pick off for this Mog character. We have another Amaterasu in hand, so just in case Brian goes into something else, Amaterasu's just going to cancel that. Is it Refia? Oh, yeah. Ooh. This is looking very scary and very over for Brian. You've got 4-color wall, you've got Refia, you've got Ferris. Let me guess. Goodbye, Mr. Wall 7. The old goodbye Yellow Brick Road. Probably going to put it on top of the deck, and that way I can just hit it into damage. No, we say Ultimate Shield, actually. I think that's our last Wall 7 then, right? Because no. One of them got put back into the deck by the Leviathan, so I think there is still one in there. We take our first point of damage. No return EX bursts. And we pass, and we still have the Refia trigger online. Does Brian have another Ultimate Shield? we'd used that Mog to cut off the Lena search, maybe it would have made a difference, but maybe not. And yeah, Brian is in a world of hurt right now. These are 3 must-answer threats on the board that, as long as they're allowed to stick around, are going to continue to just put pressure and pressure and pressure. Is there any help in our limit break deck? Probably not a whole lot. You could try to do something like a Victoria, although I think Mike has too many cards in hand. He's got Amaterasu anyway, so anything you play is just going to get canceled. Yeah, I mean, obviously, Leo just draws you a card. Cyan is decent here, although even if you get all the crystals, it still doesn't kill the Warrior of Light. And then you'll trigger several pings from the Ferris as well. It's like we are gonna ask Leo, please save us. Please find us a card that gets us out of this situation. I'll be honest, Brian, I don't know what that card is. All right, looks like we're going to finally try to ping off the Mog. Don't tell me we're going to save it again with an ultimate shield. Finally use the Mog effect to let him go. Probably held on to that one just a little too long, but maybe Brian had some master plan for it. And then here comes the Refi effect. And we are going to attempt to put another Warrior of Light back into the deck. Yep, which absolutely resolves. Did Leo draw us into anything useful? This is looking insanely bad / over for Brian. You have the free Refi effect every turn. You have Amaterasu in hand on Mike's side. Ferris threatening to ping anything. Just wow. We could follow that up with a Mist Dragon off the backup line, and we'd still get the Refia reactivation. Not that we really need it at this point. Goodbye, Leo. No? Yeah, we didn't care about the card draw. Here comes Wool. Point of damage is a Samurai backup. Send in Refia as well. And there's an Axe Star. Potentially, maybe could have been okay. Although, again, anything Brian puts down, it's just going to be immediately answered by Amaterasu, by Refia, by Wolping. Brian, please prove me wrong. Please find a way out of this, because it is looking it's looking really bad, sir. Considering you have 1 backup on the field and your opponent has 4 backups, 3 characters, and a bunch of free effects online. I think I'm tapping my leg along with Brian, just like, how do I get out of this? How do I get out of this? Like, thinking of his deck, I genuinely don't know. Like, Mike kind of has to fall asleep here. I mean, that's a start. Cast Bahamut, kill the Refia. All right, that's one less threat to deal with. Do we have like a Wool 7 follow up? Any auto ability that's a threat's going to get canceled by the Amat. Gilgamesh could also die to Amaterasu if it swings and tries to dull freeze something. Or do we just have a summon to take it out right now? Mist Dragon. Oh, yeah, that too. That Mist Dragon just said, scoop up your hand. Yeah. Why kill Gilgamesh when you can just humiliate him and say, oh, no, you're allowed to stay on the board, but you're going to have nothing in that break zone to use. Okay. So game one did not go the way Brian had planned. He did get to go first. He will get to go first again if he would like. So plan differently this time. He got good hits off the Wolf 7, so pray your opponent doesn't hit EX burst. Pray they have a bad start, and that Mike kind of has to curve out very poorly. Like, it's Wolf 7. I have absolute faith that this deck can beat this 4-color deck, but he's definitely going to need something to hold down those backup resources. He needs his opponent to not... I mean, if you hit that many bursts, I just don't know what you do. Like, the Leviathan removed 2 of his forwards for free. Kusith drew him a card. Kuchulain drew him a card. And the only thing is he probably didn't need to do the ultimate shield on that Mog that first turn. Like, I'm not really sure why he was so protective of that Mog. So maybe just save the ultimate shield so when you do those push turns, you can't shut off everything. You can't turn off a Kusith. At least you're turning off Leviathan. At least you're turning off Kuchulain. And he even had a chance to stop a search with the King Tycoon and just chose not to. Like, I don't know. Isn't that what Mog's there for? He drew you his card. That's his other effect. Hey, let me go so you can prevent them from doing something. We will see if this one goes any different. And if Brain Brian B can take us to game 3, or if Mike P is going to be celebrating his second Materia Cup win in less than a month, which is just crazy to think about. Mike, if you're tired of winning all these prizes this season, feel free to toss a coin to your caster. Oh, Valley of Plenty, little Witcher reference for you. Nice fist bump before we draw. And Brian, so there's almost an incentive to say you should just jam out Wall 7 turn 1, but obviously if you hit anything that freezes, you're not going to have anything to targets. You do want to have some backups for that. Arya will go ahead and search us out our Wall 7, and we'll pass the turn. Lunith for Lunith. That's got to feel really good on Mike's side. Do we have another follow-up? We do. It's Lady Kryl. Kryl is going to get us back a 5 forward or a summon. Currently, it's looking like that Kusith or that Leviathan. And we'll choose the Leviathan. And pass. All right. Mr. Wall 7, what can you do for us this time? You almost want to see, like, you obviously want to see something that freezes the backups. You almost want to see Vincent to take out 2 of them. And then maybe even a backup of your own, maybe a samurai or something, get you a crystal, get you to draw a card, give you a little more resources to work with. Because, like, Vincent and Zeromus together, it's just overkill. But Vincent and Zeromus together also presents, hey, you can at least keep these down every turn. So maybe that is what you want to see. All right, show us that Wool 7 slot machine. Reveal 5. Go, 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 go. Doodly, 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 doo. Miss, miss. Oh, God. Hit, miss, hit. Woo. Okay, well, he did save it. But damn, we didn't hit any resource denial there. Nearly a brick. So we will get to draw 2 cards from the Mog and the Samurai, and we'll also get a crystal. Good for our hand size and our resources. And again, really prefer to keep down our opponent's backups with something, but Brian had an insane hit in the last round against David with that Axe Star, but so far in this round against Mike, it hasn't been terrible, but and at least he hasn't whiffed entirely. All right, Mike is digging into his limit break. He is going to summon Mr. Leo. Leo! Have us draw ourselves a card. You have Zidane you could go into. I can't see if he's got any other backups. Opts to pass the turn there. Okay. Leo actually can't trade with Mog. Mog at a very beefy 4K compared to Leo's very minuscule 7K. So we'll send in Warrior of Light first. Will Mike get a repeat of the burst from the last game? Why, yes, he will with a bonus burst. Mr. Tyro is going to go ahead and search us out whatever we feel like forward-wise. You could get Une, Ferris, Raffia, Walt. Hey, take your pick. Whatever you feel like. Go ahead and get yourself that card. Going to go for the Une. Perhaps put a little bounce and summon recursion pressure on our opponent. Does Brian dare wish to attack with the Mog as well? Or is he like, I'm good. That's enough for one turn. Brian says, nah, I'm feeling lucky. How bad could it be? Mike says, okay, don't mind if I do. And of course, it's a bonus burst. There's a we're going to draw a card. Oh, Brian, what are you doing, man? Oh, goodness. Truly, this is the best it's ever been. All right. What can Brian follow up with? A Vincent, something to keep down those backups. Granted, there's only one that's dull right now. Nice. So we'll actually go into Art of the Samurai. We get a second crystal. Will be helpful for any Bahamut's or future Scions we want to use. Ooh, are we going in on another forward? Moody. Oh, are we also going to summon a Leo? Yeah. He could have put the Moody down. I wouldn't have hated putting the Moody down. Then you can go search out Amaterasu. That way, in case Mike were to try to Shantoto you or even the Une, like. But once the card draw, wants to dig a little deeper into his deck, we can still cut off any searching that Mike were to do with the Mog, which is very nice. Mike has a lot of cards in hand. He doesn't have a Shantoto, which obviously would be a pretty easy clean board wipe. Oh, are we doing limit break as well? Going in on Zidane. Interesting. Wow. Kind of overpays a little for the Zidane. Wants to see what Brian's got cooking in there. If we have Amaterasu in hand, which I think we do, you could fire it off, although Zidane also then just became, when he enters the field, your opponent discards 3 cards. That feels pretty strong. I don't know if that's worth it or not. Of course, if you don't do it, Zidane's also probably going to rip that Amat out of your hand. God, Mike still has so many cards in hand. Going to use Ultimate Shield first. Okay. Potentially trying to anticipate any removal. And then shows Zeromus, Shantoto, Amaterasu, and Bahamut. So we could have Amated, chose not to. Probably a good thing. I think we'll feel like you just come out behind for that. If you're Mike, you probably take the Amaterasu. Yeah, I can't imagine that. Oh, make sure it gets exiled. Yeah, make sure it gets exiled there, Brian. And then you'll draw a card from Zidane's. Like we had a judge move the card just to make sure it was visible in play. And Zidane's going to attempt to go to combat, I'm assuming. We're going to take a little peek at what Brian drew. Nothing can block the Zidane on the board currently. So he is safe. Zidane, what did you draw, sir? Scholar backup. You might just leave this hand alone. I guess unless you really want to get rid of the backup. He can't actually cast the Zermus. He gets rid of the Toto. Okay, just says, yeah, I just don't want you to recur anything. I guess that makes sense. You don't want him to recur an Ultimate Shield. And we take an Onionite into damage. And Mike still has a grip full of cards that he has to decide what he wants to do with. Does he have any more backups? I see Kryl, but we've already got that on the field. I see one of the Warriors of Light, but it might be Luneth. Because surely if it's Ingus, he just kind of smacks it down. Oh, we're going to do Une. So we've removed 2 summons from the break zone, reduce your cost by 2. Une is going to come in. We can bounce one of the backups if we wish. We cannot bounce a forward due to Ultimate Shield's effect. No, we're not bouncing a backup? Huh. That's surprising. I guess he just didn't want him to potentially replay and get like a card draw. I kind of understand the Aria because you don't want him to search out a Ultimate Shield, but I don't know. Might seems like it's worth it to put out the Samurai. At least he's got to replay it, unless you really want to keep him on a low crystal count. I guess if you're worried about that, you don't want the Cyan to come down and be a nice clean sweep. So we just play the Une and pass. Cyan would be a nice board answer here. Although tapping 2, we're probably not using that. We're going to spend 1 crystal with the Bahamut. So by spending a crystal, it costs 2 less to cast. It only costs 2. We'll go ahead and blast that Une for 9,000 damage. No exile, though. Unlike most Bahamuts, that one doesn't actually remove them from the game. And now, what are we doing? A backup forward? Gilgamesh would be pretty strong here, especially if we got a lot of colors online. Yeah, it is Gilgamesh. I don't know if we have the full 7, but surely we've got to at least have 5. If we have the full 7, and Brian needs to just snap off an Ultimate Shield right now and then attack in, if you have the full 7. So we're going to send in Wool 7 first. We do not hit a burst on Mike's side. That just feels weird at this point. And here comes Gilgamesh. I'm assuming we have enough for a Doll Freeze, right? There's no way there's less than 5 colors in there. Okay, yeah. We're just deciding our target. We opt to keep Zidane down. Aren't too worried about the backups. Oh, are we going to Amat this? Yes, we are. Okay. So Gilgamesh instead essentially said, sacrifice yourself, make your opponent discard 2 cards. Here comes the Mog. What are we hitting this time? Also not a burst. Wow, hit a Refia. Brian getting some good hits in here. We going to trade Leos? Says, would you like to trade Leo? Yes, I would. And they both charge at each other with their little crowns. Leo, Leo! Bam! And they just like disappear in a cloud of smoke. This is looking a lot better for Brian. Mike's not anywhere close to summoning 4-cost Wool off his backups. Yes, he amodded the Gilgamesh, but he also cost him a decent amount from hand to do that. And, oh, we're accessing our, are we using Victoria? Cloud. Okay, yeah. We really, so I wonder if we must have something really valuable in hand that we want to protect. Mike would love something like a Shantoto off the top here just to clean up this board. We've got Kusith. I think maybe Refia's back there, although again, with so few Warrior of Lights in hand, the Refia is not going to not do a whole lot for us. Is that Tyro? I can't quite see what's behind the Kusith. And Mike is on lethal. He does need to do something about this board because without anything else, Brian can just, assuming he doesn't have a burst that hits him, he can swing in with his forwards. We casting Kusith? Casting for Zidane? Are we going to have to hard Zidane? Oh, it looks like we have Arc in hand. Okay, I think we're going to Arc, probably revive, I would assume Refia or Ferris. We will reactivate both backups off of that as well. We do target Refia. Okay, so this will be exactly 4 Warriors of Light. So it will be enough for us to do a Refia trigger. And because Arc activates the backups, we can still go to combat, use the Refia trigger, reactivate, draw a card. Damn, that's good. Mike got as much value as he possibly could out of no longer having cards in hand. Reactivate from Arc. Attempt to go to combat. Turn 4 of them sideways. Stand 4 of them up. Say bye-bye to something on Brian's board, which I would assume is either going to be Cloud or Wool 7. Unless you really hate the Mog. Wow, he does hate the Mog. He wants to be able to search. Brian, if you have Ultimate Shield in hand, don't do it. Don't protect this Mog again. You know what happened last time. Yeah, so he's going to sacrifice it, says you can't search. Draw a single card, and I'm assuming we're passing the turn there. Now, the danger here for Brian is that Refia does have an active trigger. However, the danger for Mike is if she uses it, your entire board is dull. And so if he puts down a Haster, a Gilgamesh, and protects with the Ultimate Shield, you're going to be in trouble. I don't know if Brian has that kind of pressure he can threaten. Now, the nice thing is, too, he can just swing in with the bodies. The Cloud would trade with the Arc. Pretty sure the Lunith backup on Mike's side can only be used on your turn, so I don't think he can power bump with it. We do have Cyan in hand, and we've got some crystals waiting. Do we go in on the Cyan? No, maybe not so much. Are we going on a Victora? Do we have a Victora left? There's one that's already been expended from the Limit Break deck. Yeah, Brian is trying to think what he wants to do here. I mean, Victora would guarantee kill the Refia. There's nothing Mike could possibly have with 1 in hand, 2 backups that he could cast to protect it from Victora. He doesn't have enough for a Mist Dragon. I don't know if you have enough for the full Cyan trigger, but you could. You could just, get a bunch of crystals and then just try to wipe the board. The problem with that, too, though, is that Refia, if she does it to Cyan on the stack before he gets the crystals, he'll never be able to use the ability. That's not... Oh, man. Despite having 1 in hand and only 4 characters on the board, Mike's actually in an okay spot right now. Just the power of this Refia. If we have a Victoria, I think you do go in on it. Because even if it, she gets rid of 1 of your cards, you're getting rid of her. Okay, we're just going to go to combat. Mike says, would you like to introduce to my bonus burst Lena? Now I draw a card. Now I can cast an Amaterasu or a Mist Dragon if I happen to have it. Gonna send in Cloud as well. I would say you just spin at this point, right? Say, please disappear. Cloud says, okay, I'll do that. And unfortunately, Dolphrey's not very effective against these Warriors of Light either, as Refia will just activate them all at the start of your attack phase. We do have a Vincent in hand. Although, again, not super great unless you've got Amaterasu to kill the Refia. Oh, now we're going to go in on the Cyan. Okay. And presumably pay 4 to get 5 crystals. Yep, which is in our entire hand. Are we going to spend them right now? I think you have to. Yeah, you don't want this thing sitting on the board. Yep, so what we did was we generated 5 crystals, or we generated another 4 crystals with Cyan, had a total of 5, then used his final action ability, spend 5 crystals, deal 9,000 damage to all the forwards your opponent controls. Can Mike stabilize? He's looking down the barrel of a Warrior of a Light gun right now. He's got Tycoon in hand. That's not super useful here. Got Tyro as well. Also not amazingly useful. I mean, granted, searching out Ferris feels pretty good, but I just don't know if you have enough CP to follow it up with everything. Do we have Toto? Toto wouldn't be bad. Nope, we play. Okay, so we have Tycoon for Tycoon. So I'm assuming we're going to search Ferris. We do have enough to play the Ferris. Ferris can then search us out another Warrior of Light, probably Refia. I don't think you're going to have enough to cast that at this point. Yeah, we go ahead and put Ferris into play. Get rid of the Ingus. Ferris will trigger for 1,000. We'll go ahead and shoot the Cyan for another 3. He'll have taken 4,000 damage total. I'm assuming we're going to get Refia. 4-color wool isn't going to help us here. I guess you could get Arc as well, and then Arc could revive the Refia that's in the break zone. Again, you're not going to be able to do that this turn. Or, oh, we do get 4-color Warrior of Light. Okay. Maybe we just want the colors? I mean, we are only a water away from being able to use them. So either we want the colors, or Mike's also just thinking, hey, if I win this, then... Oh, that's why, yeah, we want the colors. So we're going to go in on Zach. Zach will be enough to finish off Cyan. Very nice, yeah. That'll be an additional 3,000, so Cyan is gone. Oh, man, Mike is stabilizing. Brian's still got to hit him 2 times, and this Ferris can trade up with this Warrior of Light. As it'll block, it'll receive damage, and then it can shoot it for another 3,000. Oh, man, I thought Brian might have had it after that Cyan, but Mike is turning the corner here. This might just have to be a pass from Brian. I don't know if you can risk going in with the light wall. And granted, Mike might not even block. He might just let it go to damage. Nope, he says, yep. Trade. And then shoot it for 3,000. Do we have the shield? We do have the shield. Oh, man. Is that worth it? It might be. There's Leo. Let's draw a card. We've got to be out of this limit break deck by now, right? Yeah, I think that's it. Okay, all right. Well, now Mike's in top deck mode. Wow. Yeah, maybe that shield was worth it. We drew Elena and Amaterasu. Oh, boy. I mean, it's not... We still have some in our limit break deck. We can pitch the Elena to bring out our own Leo. Which we may have to. Leo will not only draw us a card, it does put a body in the way. Mike is holding on, man. He is holding on for dear life here. Brian would absolutely love some sort of dull freeze removal, like something just to push these blockers out of the way. He can't go to his limit break anymore. He's completely out of that. Looks like he's got 1 backup in hand. Is that Zeromus? I don't know if he can even cast Zeromus. Are we playing 6? Is this Sarah? Yeah, Sarah FFL. Okay. So who do we have left? We have, if we have a Ferris, could Ferris help us clean up this board? We obviously can search out another ultimate shield if there's any left. I'm not 100% sure. Or no! Wait, did we not search? Well, there's a bonus burst that it doesn't do anything. It just reactivates Warriors of Light, which are all active. This Sarah, did that Sarah legit have no targets? Huh. Okay. I don't remember what he pitched. I'm just kind of surprised if that's crazy. If that's the best play he had was to play a 6-cost backup that doesn't do anything. Zidane says, all right, well, what do you got in there? It's an ultimate shield, which Brian says I will now use on my guy. Doesn't do a whole lot for us this turn, and we pass. I can't do that. Sarah didn't have a Ferris. It didn't have anything. Maybe he didn't even look, though. So unless he just knew, unless he counted them all up and just knew that, nope, there's nothing to find. I'm surprised he would go in on that. That's, yeah, I don't know. Okay, so here comes Wool. We'll take the Leo. And we're just going to have a pass here. Warrior Light bonked that king on the head and said, all right, back at you. Mike can draw into a Refia, a Ferris, anything that gives him any kind of like pressure. He does have Ferris. Assuming that's what we're going to go in on. And we have water in hand, so if we can get Refia off of this. Did Brian draw into an Amaterasu? Yes, maybe. Yes, he did. Now, Leo will still die here because we will still get a Ferris. What I'm assuming we canceled was the search. So Leo will still die. Technically, you can shoot Wool for a bit as well. And we'll pass after that. Oh, my goodness. And this is just game 2. So Brian has to win this and then still get through one more. I mean, this Mike is on 6, so he will have to keep blocking this Wool at this point. He who holds the 9K holds the keys to the kingdom. Gilgamesh would be pretty sick here. Mike with only 2 in hand, so it's very unlikely he can do anything. Probably a Cuchulainn the Impure is the only real kind of countermeasure he could deploy here. Can old Brain B do it? He's considering something. We had Axstar. We're getting rid of Axstar. It is Gilgamesh. We have a Lena in hand too as well. Oh, I think this could be it. Gilgamesh doesn't create a stack on entry. Here's Lena. We have plenty of colors to trigger both effects, so we should draw a card and require Mike to sacrifice a forward. He sacrifices the Zac. We draw a card. Go to combat. Do we have the Cuchulainn? He does have the Cuchulainn. Oh my goodness. Mike stays alive for one more turn. Zidane will have to chump block the Warrior of Light. Did he buy himself the time? If he gets Toto off the top here, I'm gonna lose it. Okay, he didn't. I wonder if Brian had a moment there, just like, are you kidding me? Like, he did not just Cuchulainn off the top. Whoo! Well, man, that one was a barn burner. Much better for Brian that second time around. Mike was never able to get to that setup state. I mean, I feel like once Mike gets set up, there's just no way his deck's going to lose at that point. So Brian has to be able to take him out before he can get to that setup state. Crazy, crazy, crazy. All right. So this is it. This is for all the marbles now. One game between them. And for the first time in this set, Mike is going to get to go first. That's going to be huge. We've got 74 people in here watching, folks. Thank you for joining us. This is our final match of the day. Mike Powell versus Brian Berkeley, or Brain Berkeley, if you want to go by what's on screen. Once again, thank you to Tabletop Tavern for hosting the Materia Cup out here in San Diego. And this is for all the marbles. Can Mike take his second Materia Cup win in less than a month, which is nuts? Or will Mr. Brian Berkeley show that, hey, it doesn't matter if I haven't been playing any of the other events this season? Time to take you down, son. Limit break decks are reset, decks are shuffled, decks are cut. A good start here is vital for both players. Now, this is maybe one of the times Brian could go into a Wool 7 on turn 1, because Mike presumably is going to put out some characters, so if he does draw into something like Vincent, like Zeromas, he'll have something to freeze. Brian has to go for a mulligan. And looks like Mike's going to keep it. There's a final friendly fist bump, and this one's for all the marbles. We do have Kryl, and I think we have Luneth as well. That's a pretty good start for Mike, if I saw that card correctly. We pitch Ferris for Luneth, and we pass. No, don't feel any need to go in on the Kryl right now. Brian have Wool 7. Is he going to curve out with a backup? I think he's got Sarah FFL in hand. Looks like he's got 2 of those. So we can absolutely do the Wool 7 plan. Although it looks like Mike's got Amaterasu as well. Yep, go to Sarah FFL. Mike says, yeah, you can have that. I'll allow it. So Mike absolutely will have the power to use this Amaterasu next turn. As a matter of fact, he can use it pretty cleanly, because if we put down that Kryl, you can leave up the Luneth, and then you know that Amat's coming out. Which will turn old Wool 7 there into Sephiroth instead of his usual self. All right, so I'm predicting what Mike will do is play the Kryl, get back whatever summon piece, etc., and then save up the Luneth for the Amaterasu, because you know that Wool 7's coming. Yep, there's the Kryl. You're going to get back the Ferris. The only question is, does he have too many cards in hand? Nope. Yep, and he's going to save up the Amaterasu. So we think we know how this turn's going to go. Brian's going to put out Wool 7. Mike will cast Amaterasu to cancel the effect. So Wool 7 will have effectively read your opponent discards 2 cards from their hand. Unless Brian pulls out some kind of surprise Mist Dragon that I'm not expecting. Yep, and he says, yeah, as expected. Well, now congrats. We both have 2 characters on board. Well, mine didn't do quite as much as it should have. And we'll pass it back. I think Mike might have Sarah FFL in hand, which will be a nice good ramp out if he does. Yep. So now he can go get his Warriors of Light. Not Ferris. Refia is already looking quite nice here, with 3 on the backup line. Oh, is Brian considering responding to this? Does he have his own Amaterasu? Would you, even if you do you burn it on the Sarah, or do you just wait and then burn it on Refia when she comes out? Is there a reason to burn it on Sarah over Refia? And if you wait for the Refia, which presumably will come out, I guess that's your one worry, is if the Refia comes out this turn, you're kind of in trouble. But if Mike waits a turn to play it, then you can cast the Amaterasu on curve by keeping up the Sarah backup. But Mike might not. He might slam it out right now. Although he wouldn't get the card draw. Yeah, so he is going to wait. We do have an Ultimate Shield in hand. I'm pretty sure Brian has Amaterasu in hand, so we could just stop this Refia when it comes down. The real question is if Mike goes or Brian goes to attack, can he dodge the EX burst? Yes, he can. Ingus into the damage zone. We are tapping the Sarah. Gonna cast Leo, I'm assuming. Just draw a little deeper. Give up old little Leela. Little Leela. You are staying in the limit break deck. And we pass back. So if Mike just taps 3 and it tries to get this Refia trigger to go off, that Amaterasu is going to be really nice. He does have Toto in hand. Could amount that as well. Yep, we go for the Refia. Gonna attempt to get the trigger. I mean, Brian has to have Amaterasu, right? Yeah. So we'll get rid of Ferris and the Samurai. Say goodbye, Refia. Thanks for coming. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. And we'll pass back. That's all Mike's got. If Brian could apply any kind of like backup freezing pressure right now, a Vincent would be the ideal one as we'd freeze all 3. Here comes Warrior of Light, point of damage, and it's a bonus burst. Lady Cryo will go ahead and get us back. Do just get back Amaterasu, and essentially say, hey, I'm just gonna shut off whatever you try to do against me. Yep, it will be the old Slamaterasu. Is Brian brave enough to go in with little Leo? I think he wants to. Yeah, we are going with the Leo. Do we dare? Do we dare? I don't know, man. It's damage 3. You put Ferris online, and you hit a bonus burst. Not only did you put Ferris online, you just put the card right into his hand. King Tycoon says, please allow me to get my daughter. Oh boy, this is starting to look a lot like game 1. If Brian has another Amaterasu in hand, that's going to feel good, but we were not able to hit this backup pressure like we were in the second game. This is looking really good for Mike. Mike has he's got so many cards in hand. You just going on the Ferris, or you have another Refia? Or even Arc? Dude, how good is Arc here, where he just revives it from the break side? I think this could be Arc. Yep. I would like to bring back Refia. Oh, and then I'm going to reactivate those 3 backups that I had back there, if you don't mind. I mean, you can amount this. It is 2 separate auto abilities, so you would have to choose either the Revival or the backup reactivation. Presumably, you would pick the Revival, but then obviously he can just free play the Ferris off the backups. Looks like Brian's doing some math in his head. All right, what would I like to die to? Is it the Ferris? Is it the Refia? We do get Ferris onto the field. Ferris, of course, can just clean up Mr. Leo here. We're going to put a decent amount of damage on Wall as well. Do you want to protect from this with the ultimate shield? If you're going to, now would be the time before Refia can come out. Yep, we would like to use the ultimate shield. Not just any shield, it's the ultimate shield. Ferris goes and grabs what I believe... No, not her sister. I always get Refia and Lena mixed up. I think Lena is her sister. Refia is from an entirely different game. Final Fantasy III. And we do get the backup reactivation as well. Whew, what a play. That arc is quite good. Especially when it's got really good targets to search out. We go ahead and pop down Elena. As we know, Refia is just going to stand all these back up as is. Actually got rid of a 4-color wall, although we don't have any win CP on the backup line there. There is Refia. Refia is ready to do Refia things, although she can't actually target anyone with the spin. So he's going to have to find another way. I guess he could just use the Lunith effect on the backups, and then you'd still get 4 backups and draw a card. You could potentially give the Ferris haste. Or give the Refia haste. That works too. All right, Brian, if you got Amaterasu. No, he says, go ahead. Or no, maybe he was saying go to combat. Yep. Brian says, I'll allow it. Possibly because I can't do anything about it. Refia, a 8k haster coming in. Brian takes a point of damage. Hits Mr. Axstar. That could have been good. Axstar could have been really nice to help clean this board up. But instead, he will stare solemnly at Brian as a lone figure over there in the damage zone. Don't worry, buddy. Your friends are going to be joining you soon. I got a feeling. Brian taking a head count. How much trouble am I in right now? Well, Brian, quite a bit. This Refia is still completely online off just the backups. We can do a combination of the backups and the forwards, which means we can still cast any summons from our hand. Sid Randall's pretty worthless in this matchup. There's a few effects it would turn off, but the Refia spin completely gets around it. Goodbye, Mr. Randall. Gilgamesh Ultimate Shield wouldn't be terrible. It is Gilgamesh. Oh, I'm assuming we have at least 5. Have we seen a Light Warrior of Light go to the breaks? I don't think we have, so I don't think we have 7. But we could if we have an Ultimate Shield. Although Amaterasu also puts a quick stop to Mr. Gilgamesh. Looks like we're gonna, yep, Refia effect right now. Try to take this man to the junkyard. Brian, do you have the shield to protect him? Yes, we do, and it is a Light Warrior of Light. Oh no, do we have a second one? We still have Amaterasu in hand too. Nope, it resolved. Kuchelane blanked the Gilgamesh, so they're protected now, but he just has no text now. And I'm pretty sure Mike still has Amaterasu in hand. And Brian's going to have to pass at that point, unless he wants to attack with the big wall. Which I don't even know what that really gets you. A 4th point of damage. Is there a limit break that could help? You can't Leo right now. I mean, you could... I guess you could Victoria... No, I think Mike's got too many cards in hand. Victoria doesn't help. I guess if you have Lightning CP for Cloud. The thing is, Arc can trade up with the wall. Well, no, he can't because the Ferris ping is shut off because of the Ultimate Shield. So we'll take a point of damage. We do hit Lunith. We've actually hit 4 backups into the damage zone. That's kind of funny. So in a way, we're just helping Mike out because those are kind of dead cards he doesn't want to draw anyway. This is looking very much like it's heading towards Mike's second Materia Cup win. Brian really needed that Gilgamesh to be able to go off, or at least like rip the Amaterasu out of his hand for it. You know, make it cost him more. Brian has to pass the turn, which means no ultimate shield protection, and this Refia Ferris combo is about to do whatever the heck it feels like. This is looking quite dire for Mr. Brian B. Ooh, Mike might be looking for his Titus finisher too at this point. That'll really put the nail in the coffin. Spending 5. There's Mr. Tyro. We gonna go get 4-color wool? Can't cast him until after the attack phase, but still is just a whole nother body and beater. You could put Zidane out too, although you've tapped your earth or your wind. Also get Une. There's Une. Yep. Excuse me, my voice is starting to get a little hoarse. Are we gonna play the Une pre-combat? Spending 5. Oh no, now we're gonna use Titus. Okay, so maybe we're just getting the Une for the water CP. Here comes Mr. Titus. We have more than enough forwards and backups to beat the requirement. We can tap the Sarah to help pay for the water and still meet the Warrior of Light requirement for Refia before we go to combat. Yep, we're going to pay 3. Say that backup's going to go on top of your deck. Probably Gilgamesh to the bottom. You could just do Leo too if you just want to get him off the field. I mean, you can ultimate shield to keep the Gilgamesh on there. I'm not sure what that does, because then you can just Refia trigger in response. Nope, Mike lets it resolve. Goodbye, Gilgamesh. Goodbye, Sarah FFL. Mike's going to go ahead and draw 2 cards, draws into Amaterasu. You know, just in case. Or maybe that was the one he still had from earlier. Goodbye. Warrior of Light 7. Don't worry, he'll become part of the damage zone very soon. So we will see you again. And we just go ahead and get back 4 mana CP as well as 3 forwards. Ferris is going to finish off poor little Leo. And this is Mike or Brian is due for a hurtin' here. Damage 1. Wall 7. What a surprise. It was what we put on top of the deck. Damage 2. Refia. Like, surprise, that's Sarah FFL. Damage 3, Mr. Arc. And we pass. Brian has an empty field. Brian, can you, with 4 cards in hand and nothing on your field, stabilize and win this game? If I were to shake a magic 8-ball, it would say, outcome not good. But who knows? Maybe you can shatter that thing and break destiny into 5 fate. Just like the protagonist in an anime or a video game. We do have Gilgamesh. We've got 7 colors. If only our opponent didn't have Amaterasu in hand, we might have a chance here. And, you know, the free Refia spin. Goodbye, Mr. Gilgamesh. And that is it. Give it up for Mr. Mike Powell, your San Diego champion for Final Fantasy trading card game. His second, count that, second Materia Cup win in less than a month. Holy moly. Somebody stop this 4-color wall deck. This thing is absolutely nuts. Nuts! Congrats, Mike. Major congrats. Brian, thank you for playing. You were a great competitor. And hey, major congrats to you for making it all the way to second. But yeah, this is all going to be about Mr. Powell today. Moogle Man's going to be celebrating hard. Folks, thank you so much for watching here at the San Diego tournament. I don't know if they're going to try to do any player interviews or wrap up. We will find the answer to that very shortly. And yes, the round 3 skip, I think, should pass to Brian because Mike already had it from the Florida Cup. So unless there's something weird going on with that, but I believe that should pass down. Oh, looks like I actually did get a bracket. I don't know if anyone wants to hear that now at this point. We're doing a quick check with White Mage and the judges just to see if there's any other announcements they wanted to give on stream here. Otherwise, we will close up here in just a moment. I will get that information for you. All right, folks, we are going to wrap it up here on behalf of the Tabletop Tavern, TCG Tavern. I want to thank you so much for watching us, spending part of your Sunday, part of your Saturday with us. I hope you've had a lovely weekend. My name is Rudros. Feel free to give me a like and subscribe on YouTube if you enjoy my content. I have enjoyed bringing this to you as well. Sorry for all the technical difficulties we have. Nothing's perfect, of course. We've had internet issues, sound issues, and all that. So I know that it was adpocalypse there for a while too, but I think TCG Tavern really did their best to try to accommodate and fix that as best they could. So thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you having us, following along in chat. I hope you've enjoyed this day of Final Fantasy trading card game. For the Tabletop Tavern in San Diego, the entire production staff, White Mage, everyone who helped judge all of it, thank you again so much. My name is Rudros, and until next time, take care. Congrats again to Mike P.